And welcome everyone to another Bitcoin analysis. Going to be starting off this video, starting off the monthly here because we just started a new month. So previous month, February, closed bearish. Now one thing to note, we did see more bullish volume on the push up after breaking the descending trend line. Then we saw sell pressure on the way down, and then recently within the consolidation we have seen there is more buy pressure than sell pressure within just the consolidation here. So this is showing that there is now volume accumulation occurring. Doesn't mean that we're not going to get any move to the downside or anything and it's going to be instantly bullish, but there's now buyers in the market slowly accumulating coins within this range. That's what this is telling me. So on the real macro long-term view, we are looking for more of a bullish view, but that doesn't mean that we can't capitalize on some downside volatility if the market presents itself in a little bit of a bearish way. So not too much more to talk about within the monthly. We'll talk about more of what we could be seeing on the weekly, but at this point in time, this is kind of the zone that we're looking to hold above, around 78, somewhere around there. So we'll talk about that on the weekly a lot more. But, you know, we could come all the way down here, but this is the area of confluence we could see. And with that said, we'll discuss that on the weekly with a lot more clarity. So this is that weekly, and this is that zone of support that we said that could be a nice level of confluence for us here around the $7,800 area. And then we are also starting off the new week, so then we also have a fresh weekly candle up. We're seeing a little bit of bullish volume within the candle right now, but the previous candle we see has a lot more bearish volume, and then within the recent price action we see more bearish pressure within the market than bullish pressure. So for me, it does indicate that we could see another drop here to around the $7,800 zone as our final level of support. But the monthly, looking at the larger time frame, like we said, is more bullish. So a little bit of a crossover in the direction, but we could drop down here and then come back up within a month's time, just leaving a wick to the downside. I don't mind that at all. But on the weekly here, moving into the smaller time frame, I do think that the bearish candle here, and this is a pullback of taking a breath, and then we could see the lows potentially here because we broke this area of support. And this is a mid-range zone that we're currently at right now. Taking a step to the CME futures. Don't see any real gap right here in the market, so nothing really to talk about on the CME futures because we mainly are going to be looking at this exchange for the daily for the most part, which is going to be the Gemini exchange. Gemini, we can't put the same trend lines as the CME futures, but we're basically going to just draw the exact same lines that we would within our zone here. So that's the range that we're currently in. We're currently right at a mid-range zone right here. So exact same thing, looking at the volume, decreasing sell volume, which is good, but we see very, very little amount of buy volume within the consolidation. So in that said, we see same thing here. We see significant sell pressure within the market. We see initially a decent amount of buy volume hold the price up within the historic volume here, but then when the price made a lower low, we saw the buy volume really start to diminish, not really seeing any buy volume until this bullish candle we see right here. So this theoretically is a no supply if we got a bullish candle after, but because we got a bearish candle after, that does not confirm a no supply candle. It would be really, really fantastic if we got that bullish candle to start right after this no supply, really validating that area as a potential reversal zone, and then we could be looking to catch either the 91 or the 95-ish $100 resistance that's coming up. But I just drew this, and this is very unconfirmed, this trend line, because we could put it theoretically at this candle close here and like so. So, you know, like we could just do that, and then now it's a valid area of support. So I think I am going to do that just because it was an unconfirmed trend line, and we're looking for an area of confluence being very dynamic with our trend line, and if it holds, it holds. And I think this is a zone that is able to give us a little bit more of a confirmation because we got a pretty strong bounce off this zone. But overall, what I see is the price making a strong downtrend, and what we're looking for is the price to, from a strong downtrend, make a horizontal consolidation area, which we're currently in. But because we're in a downtrend, we're looking for mainly shorts for swing trades. So the price is now at a previous high. We can see right here, it's a zone of resistance, but we're getting way less buy pressure than previous buy pressure. We can see that right here. And we're still getting more sell pressure in the market, even with this doji, and especially with this bearish candle here, than what we currently see for buy pressure. So in my opinion, it makes more sense to short at the high here because we're at a resistance. The momentum is to the downside. Yeah, the volume is decreasing in terms of the sell pressure, but we see that the volume is an obvious volume distribution, meaning that the sellers are in control and they have the confidence in the market, and that's the bias I am taking. I personally will want to see the price break this high and form a higher high, potentially making a higher low, before I look to really get that reversal back to potentially the $9,400–$9,500 range. So as long as we're sticking below this level of support, we'll talk about on the 4 hour, I'm looking to short. If it breaks above, then I might be losing or breaking even, and then I'll look to potentially long after it pulls back and retests this zone for a new level of support. But at this point in time right now, I'm only looking for shorts, and I'm looking for shorts somewhat soon because the price is basically right at our zone of resistance. So let's now dive into the smaller time frames here. This is the 4 hour chart on the Heikin Ashi candles. And let's draw in our zones as well. So after a solid move to the downside, we see strong momentum here, and then we see the price hold a level of support, holding it 3 times. We have made lower lows. This is a low, so we made consecutive lower lows and lower highs. So this is that trend line here, and this is that trend line here. So this is a descending wedge, although that would be normally a bullish pattern. As we can see, we did form it on a bearish pattern here. So theoretically, yeah, if it does break the resistance right there, we are looking to potentially long if it was a bullish pattern, if we saw the right things in the market. But for first off, this is a lower low. We're now looking for a lower high. At this point in time, this could be the lower high. We could not make it all the way up here. We don't know if it's going to make it all the way back to the $9,300–$9,400 zone. And because the momentum is to the downside, we're going to assume that there's going to be sellers, just give me one moment here, at this zone right here. Because we see it as a resistance before, we'll look on the 4 hour on the candlesticks and you'll be able to see it as well. But the sell pressure and the confidence, look at how much more sell pressure there is than buy pressure. There's really not much buyers in the market right now on the Bybit exchange, and we're just coming back up to a resistance. And we'll talk about different examples here of times when we made a strong move to the downside and what happened after. Sometimes, yes, we do get these massive moves to the downside and we get picked up right after, but for the most part, what we're looking for is we need a market shift where you get a move to the downside and you get a consolidation period where you're kind of going from resistance to support, and then you're looking for the move to the upside where you're going to form a high and then a higher low and then a higher high and a higher low and a higher high and a higher low. Sort of like in that pattern, ideally. So in that said, we can now go to the smaller time, we'll go to the 4 hour on the candlesticks, and then we will go to the 1 hour. So I think this illustrates my idea a little bit more clearly. So fortunately, we didn't make the best of this bullish move here. We were talking about it. We talked about the squeeze here. You know, the entire time the price was kind of coming in here, we were talking about how it's squeezing into the price action into the funnel, right? And then we got a confirmation move to the upside right here. That candle definitely signified that we are now in a bullish move here after the squeeze was complete, but that doesn't mean that we're instantly going to move to the upside and we're looking to just get some massive extensions like so. We're not instantly going to look for that because right now that's not really giving us indications that the price is going to be doing that. First off, this is that level of resistance we talked about initially. We see just strong level of rejection that the price held before. It's the final high before we potentially see a nice flowing market where you see the market structure go from lower lows to lower highs. You see the support hold. There was a wick here initially, and then it turned into the candle body lows. Very nice. And then if we're able to get a high here, and even if we get the bulls, the bears to push back the price, make a higher low, because this is a low, we'd make a higher low right here. So that would be a good sign. And then if we're able to hold the higher low and push above this level of resistance and above the 9K, and then hold that as a new level of support, then I will be looking to long. But as long as the price is sticking below our major structural resistance right here, I am looking to short. It's not like we're seeing a huge amount of buy pressure. We see a little bit less than we see sell pressure on the way down. Yeah, we did see a decent amount of buy pressure initially at that level of support, which is great, which means that we do have a strong level of support right here, but we're not even close to that area of support. We're all the way at the resistance right here. So right now, we're in a consolidation sideways. So looking at the three different market structures, right? There's only three ways the price can be really going. We could be going in a downtrend, like so. We'd be going in an uptrend, like so. Or we could be going in a consolidation, like so. And right now, we went from a downtrend into a consolidation because the market has to go from either which way direction. If it's going down, it has to go sideways before it moves to the upside. And then vice versa if you're going from a bullish trend to a bearish trend. So we're seeing that right now. So right now, we're within a consolidation. So why would we want to, unless we have confirmation of a break, enter long right at the zone where we have a resistance, a very strong resistance right here. We tried to enter long here to capture from here to here for a quick scalp. Didn't really make the most of it, but definitely see that there was a good entry from here to here, high probability. We made the support, we held that zone twice. We got a strong move to the upside, increasing buy volume. Overall, that looked pretty good. But at this point in time, because the resistance is strong right here, I'm waiting to see how the price reacts at that zone. If we see on the 4 hour, there is a very limited amount of demand coming in. That could be a no demand candle, signifying that there is a limited amount of buy pressure pushing the price up, which then could mean that there is going to be then sell pressure coming in, pushing the price right back down. And in that said, let's go to the 1 hour to kind of talk about what we're able to see for the volume as well as the current market that we're able to see right here. So we got an initial rejection here with a decent amount of sell pressure coming into the market. Our second attempt to push the price to our resistance zone. Looks like there's a lack of demand coming in. There's less volume coming in on the 1 hour time frame. We've got 11 minutes left and there's less volume coming in here. So what we're looking for is a breakdown within this range. We don't know if it's going to be this high right here or if it's going to push up a little bit higher, but we're looking for a breakdown within this range that will signify a potential price action pattern to make a short to the downside. And then we have some couple of ranges here with the final level being here. I don't know if we want to push beyond that zone. I think it makes sense to have an entry somewhere around here. Stop loss may be below here or above there or above a recent high with some take profits along the range. And then we're looking to really get the price to hit the level of demand like we see here. So that's the trade that we're looking for at this very moment. And then we'll look for alts to have a sympathy play if we do break below back down to that zone. So to very simplify it, I'm not looking for a long until we break market structure of this resistance and of that high to form a higher high, because right now in my eyes, I'm still seeing the market structure and the trend going sideways. For me, we're not in a bullish trend yet. Yeah, we broke to the upside and we broke this descending zone and this zone of confluence because it was a horizontal zone of support and resistance. We can see all along here resistance. So that is a zone of confluence. So yeah, that would be a high probability entry right there. 100%. But to say that it's going to continue is another question. And right now, because the momentum is so to the downside, and yeah, we do see rising buy volume coming into the market, that's great, but I will now go and explain the different times we've had a market correction to the downside, and then we saw a consolidation where we're breaking not really from a higher high or a lower low, so for a while. So in that said, let's now discuss the different scenarios that happened in the past of a pretty bearish move, and then we see a consolidation. So the first one is going to be right here. So this is on the 4 hour. So this is that $9,600 support that we broke. This is back in 2019 where we had that huge symmetrical triangle that broke to the downside, and this is that break right there. So this is, look how strong that bearish volume is right there. So after that, what do, right? Obviously, we're in a major downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows, and obviously, at this point, you know you're in a downtrend. What happens after? You see initially, the price test a zone, get a shit ton of volume, spike it, consolidate, and then push down again. Usually that's a normal thing. You get a consolidation phase before a nice little another dump down. Usually there's a higher lows, and then once the price breaks the higher lows, there's another very aggressive move to the downside, and then kind of finds a level of support. And that's exactly what we see here, and we're kind of at that range right here where we found two levels of a support where you get demand 2 times, and then you see a descending zone squeeze the price, and then you get a bullish push to the upside. And then a lot of people think, oh my god, it broke the descending trend line, we got along, and we're going to take profits all along here because now it broke the descending zone. Well, not really, because the overall trend is still to the downside. Yeah, we broke a minor level descending trend, but look at the 4 hour, look at the daily. It's very bearish. So what happens next? What do we get? We see a consolidation, right? Same thing. We see a resistance that held multiple times. So let's talk about what happened in this situation. We held 2 levels of a support like so, which is good to see. We saw the price break a descending trend line like so, and then the price held at a nearby resistance. Right, this one right here. Didn't even make it to the high right here. And then we fell down, hit that support again. We know that this area is a strong level of support. We've already hit it twice. And then we get it validated for a 3rd time. Okay, that's good to know that we have support yet again. And then we get again a descending trend line, squeezing the price towards the apex of the pattern. We get another bullish push yet again. That resistance, because we're in a consolidation, we're bouncing from support to resistance, support to resistance. So when we're at the resistance, what do we get? Yet again, we get sellers. This bearish candle right here is a major confirmation. We get a push to the upside, but on the 4 hour, we get the massive rejection, which is with a wick to the downside, signifying that there is a lot of sellers. Surprising because there's a lot of bullish pressure on the way up here. I guess when we tried to make an attempt 1 and attempt 2, we didn't see any buy volume, so that definitely for VSA signifies that there's a lack of volume coming in, and then the sellers then took control, push the price down, and then you can then look for shorts near this resistance, maybe at the peak of the highs here, you could look for a smaller time frame entry, break of the resistance, or breaking the ascending trend lines, something along the lines of that. But yeah, that is the example I wanted to provide. So we can see right now that we are kind of at, not that zone right there. We're kind of at the first zone where we broke the first descending trend line, double bottom, and we're kind of at the high right there. So keep that in mind, and let's look at the recent price action. Right? Pretty similar. Let's get like so. There we go. So let's just compare these two. So we can see basically this, it's the same thing, right? The wick down here, the wick down here, and then we get the double bottom, and you get the double bottom right here, the first bottom, the second bottom, and you get a descending trend line, that was a poorly drawn trend line, descending trend line, and then you get the price to make it to a recent high, make it to a recent high, make it to a recent high, make it to a recent high. Very, very similar. It's not like we're seeing tremendous amount of buy volume. We're actually seeing more sell volume coming into the market right now, which is good. But that is my overview of the market. That's what I think is we're kind of at the high here, and we're looking to short the market, making a move back to the downside. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Hello Gibson, welcome to the analysis. And then now we're going to go over the different market tools that we're going to be using. The first one is going to be the BTC USD margin longs that were opened on the Bitfinex exchange. And let's get our handy snip tool. So what we can see right now is the sellers are still not able to push the price up, but then the buyers are also really not entering at all. So we're seeing a very low amount of interest in both the sellers and buyers. So at this point in time, we're not going to see real short squeeze or any massive dump where there's going to be massive aggressive, because there's not a lot of people opening long positions, but there's not a lot of people opening short positions. So at this point right now, in my opinion, because the movement is to the downside, we're going to keep on going with the consolidation until we see the accumulation start to occur. But right now, we're not seeing any accumulation start to occur, so it makes sense that we're going to continue in the consolidation. So our short bias checks out within what we can see right here. Shorts obviously aren't taking positions right now, but that's okay as long as we're not seeing tremendous amount of buy pressure pushing the price back up, seeing a lot of buy entries coming in. Then it'd be a little bit worrying, but at this point in time, we're not seeing any interest from the buyers for any margin trades opened on this exchange anyways. So final thing we're going to quickly check is the coin farm exchanges. So we're going to see the different exchanges and what people are trading long and short on different exchanges. So within the 24-hour time frame, looking at the larger time frame on BitMEX, more people have been longing. 53% of people have been longing. On Binance, 51% of people have been longing, and in Bybit, 51% of people have been longing. So not a huge discrepancy, but a little bit more weighted towards the buy side or the long side. Talking about the shorts, or the more the positions that were opened only in the 1 hour time frame, or from one hour from this point, we see that it's definitely weighted more towards the long side. 60% towards BitMEX for the longs, 53% for the longs on Binance, and 48% on Bybit for the longs. So more weighted for the shorts on Bybit, but for the other two larger exchanges, BitMEX and Binance, we do see that it's more weighted towards the longs. So a little bit more long bias, but my analysis is still to the downside. I'm still looking to short at this point in time. So that's analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. I will do a crypto market analysis today as well. And hopefully we get some good volatility here. I'm definitely not looking to long at this point, but hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. If you got a question, drop it in the comments below. And I'll probably continue with a TikTok live and a YouTube live, just continuing with the day trading that we're going to be doing today. And then I'll do a crypto market live a little bit later, probably in a few hours here. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to close this YouTube live here and probably start the TikTok live up again. So if you want to check us out, you can go from there and then ask any questions if you have. So until next time, happy trading and have a good one.